Speak your truth. I have Skyelar Cribbs with me tonight, my time, today, her time. What's up with you, Skylar?
I'm good. How are you?
Blessed. Very happy to be here with you tonight.
Likewise.
Thank you. Ready to hear your story. So tell us who Skylar is.
Okay. Well, I'm 22. I am a college cheerleader and I am a policy analyst. I'm in the world of politics, the most controversial, crazy career that you can go into. As far as who I am, I'm outgoing. Some might disagree with that, but I consider myself to be outgoing based on the career path and the sport that I've chosen. And I am a narcissist.
Whoa.
You know, I think I'm the best thing to ever happen. So, that's who I am. We're just going to get right into it. We're just going to hit every single category. No.
Kanye. Wow.
Yeah, okay. You said alter ego, I say Kanye West.
And I'm Beyonce, complete opposites. Wow. Not really though, because Beyonce, I mean, she knows she all that, and I can't lie, I'm the same way. Always have been. Ain't nothing wrong with that though. If you ain't your own personal hype man, who else gonna be? That's all.
Exactly.
So it's good. It's all good. So you said you a cheerleader, right?
Yes.
And you do all these different policies and all that, and you got your own foundation, and you got to breathe, you got to eat. How you balance all of that?
I don't. I take things one step at a time. I originally took a break from sports, and when I graduated high school, I went to a 4-year university, kind of out of spite because people told me that I didn't have the best academic standing to get into university. So of course I wanted to go prove people wrong and go to university. Wasn't a fit for me. So I came back home and was a store manager. And that's kind of where I learned to balance my time as a very young store manager and a manager of very big corporations. And then I decided that I wanted to go full force into politics. And in order to do that, I wanted to get a good academic standing. I wanted to kind of invent myself and invent my name of who I was going to be in politics and what I wanted to stand for. So I went back to school. I went to a JC down the street from where I lived in the East Bay area of California. And then I wanted to cheer again. So my best friend had kind of convinced me to go to their open gyms, and I went to one of them and kind of felt like back at home. I didn't have the best cheer experience in high school, and I wanted to kind of relive or redo what I missed out on as a child. And so I decided to try out for Portland State and ended up making it.
Nice.
So I am now a Division I cheerleader. I know.
So that's dope. I used to look at cheerleading as a sport, and so I went to Kentucky, and they're the best. I mean, I don't know how good y'all are, but I'm sure y'all up there too. You on the team, so I know y'all up there too. From what I know, Kentucky is the best. And I was like, damn, they train and practice so hard. They get bumps and bruises, they break stuff, and we have no type of respect for what you guys do. Is it still like that? I know I'm a little bit older, so I know my generation, we all football, basketball, if it's anything else, don't really matter. Is cheerleader more respected now?
Still in progress.
Okay. Well,
we do get more recognition, and I think with the Olympics making it a sport there, I think we definitely got more respect because it was constantly under evaluation of is it really a sport? You guys just stand on the sidelines, and for some cases, yeah, football, basketball, we do stand on the sidelines, but we also do compete. Stunt is something that's brand new that we're trying out. The past few years, stunts become a little bit bigger, and you compete in that. That's when you get numbers, and that's kind of where we were this is why it's a sport. The high school I went to, we were really big. We got coverage on the news for trying to make cheer a sport.
That's dope.
Mission. So we're working on it. It's still work in progress, but it is more respected.
So I'm gonna see you in the Olympics.
I don't know about all that.
Come on.
I know. Yeah.
Talk about body image in cheer and how that can affect someone's mental health.
Cheer is a very, you are the face of programs, and not just your own, but multiple, because you're cheering for other people. And it started out as this kind of like stereotype of what a cheerleader would look like. They're known as the popular girl who's skinny and perfect and has their life together. And like, you know, I think a lot of that came from media images and from kind of like, bring it on. There was only like one body type, and just like the high school movies that we would watch, and all the cheerleaders looked exactly the same. But also kind of like how society interprets what a cheerleader is supposed to look like.
Definitely.
And it does take a toll when you're on a team and you work out the exact same way. Usually that team will have the exact same body type, which I think helped my image personally. Growing up, I had my first eating disorder. I was 12.
Wow.
It lasted for like 8 years. So my eating disorder lasted until I was 20. So still pretty recent.
Yeah.
But when you're on a team and you have specific images that you're trying to look like, it does take a toll because you're trying really hard. And like I said, I had eating disorders. I was trying to look a certain way, and that's just not realistic. Luckily, I've always been on programs that are very body positivity, like very body friendly, and will encourage you to eat, one, but also maintain the figure that is healthy for you. And that can look like a million different things depending on your background, like your ethnicity, your health records, your height. And I think a lot of times we correlated like weight to beauty, and that's not the case, because there are people who are bigger than me but way less, or smaller than me but way more than me. I've put girls in the air who are bigger than me and they look phenomenal up there, but you would never know. And I think that really did a number. But the program I'm in now, our coach is really big on being you and being who you are. Like, she never wants to hide who you are on the outside to help your inside. And like, to me, that's like probably the best program that you can be a part of.
Yeah.
So it takes a toll, but I think slowly but surely, like, we are all trying to change that narrative of like what we're supposed to look like.
For sure. Thanks for sharing that. I know that's not easy to talk about. You don't even know me. You don't know who. So thanks for saying that. Do you mind if I ask you more questions about it?
Yeah, go ahead.
So first of all, when it started, what led up to that?
I was always this little, I was not a small girl. I'm still not small. Like, I'm medium through and through, but I was teased for how big I was. I was just like this like fat little Asian girl. So that's how I perceive myself, like after hearing it so many times. And I don't know, I don't want to speak for, I'm not the spokesperson for Asian people, but a lot of the culture has one specific body image, and like you're supposed to be small and petite, and that doesn't really help my case. And I wasn't that. I wasn't this small little girl. I still had a lot of baby fat. I didn't know how to portion control. And I was chunky until like 7th grade, which is when it kind of started. It started as an accident. I didn't really think anything of it. I was bulimic. So that is one of the, and it's a hard thing to overcome, because you binge eat and then you kind of like throw it all up and then you're back to normal. And for a good amount of time, I was getting skinnier, and I was like, okay, it's working. Like, I'm just going to keep doing it. When it first happened, I told my teammates, and they're like, because it was an accident. Like, it really did happen. When I like wasn't expecting it to. And so I told them, and they're like, oh no, like that's bad. And like in my 12-year-old brain, I didn't think things through. When I saw that it kind of like helped me lose weight, I was like, well, I'm just gonna keep doing it. Like it doesn't. But then it developed into, okay, now I'm binge eating and now I'm gaining weight because I'm not eating properly. I'm taking in, but I can't like get it all out the way that I thought I could. And then I became anorexic. I became so skinny because I just stopped eating altogether. I think my junior year of high school, I was only 100 pounds and I was like 5'4".
Man.
And then as I got older, I really tried super, super hard to work on it because I wanted to get out of it. Like I didn't want to do it anymore. And I didn't know, like on the outside, I looked fine, but on the inside, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know what I'm damaging right now. So I need to just stop doing it. And it took a really long time. That's why it took so long, is because it took years to get myself like on an eating plan that I could do and not feel bad about. But yeah, so it took a long time, but we are back. We are
back.
Feeling normal, Yeah, it took time, but we got it.
Yeah. So what, like, man, that's a long time. You think 12 to 20.
Yeah.
Like you went from a girl to a woman.
Yeah.
And we as women, we, mature a lot faster. So throughout like each stage of your life thus far and going through that, what was it like for you mentally? Like, did you ever like you said, like when you were 12, you really didn't understand. And you said like as a junior, you were like, okay, I don't need to do this no more. Talk about that process, like that maturity, yet it was still hard for you to get through it.
Yeah. Well, I am diagnosed with bipolar disorder, depression, and anxiety. I have high functioning anxiety. I work better under pressure, but it doesn't make anything easier. Yeah. During that time, it's hard when you're already in a bad state mentally. I went through a lot as a kid. And the eating disorder was just kind of like the cherry on top. Like that was just like the last thing that I really needed, but it was like kind of like the final factor. It definitely enhanced my depression, but I was someone who didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know how to like go about the situation. So I would just kind of like take it one step at a time. Obviously, when I started gaining more weight out of the whole process, that's when I was like, I need to stop. Like, I need to figure something out. Because I didn't want to gain weight. That was like the last thing I wanted. I just wanted to be healthy and get myself somewhere better in my mental health, because it was already bad. It was already deteriorating. And then having an eating disorder on top of it was even worse, because you will cry that you're eating, and then you'll cry that you're a certain weight, or and it didn't help because I was a junior. I was super skinny, like, and in high school you want to be perfect, like you have this, you want to fit this whatever society you're in, and this is when your name matters per se, or you're trying to make it matter in high school. You want people to like you, and you're still in your developmental years of like, okay, I want friends. How do I make friends? How do I do this? So my mental health throughout was not good. I just kind of faked it till I made it.
Yeah. Man.
So I'm still learning how to cope with my mental health.
Yeah.
And I think that it didn't help that I never asked for help. I just kind of wanted to figure it out on my own. And that was probably like where I went wrong and why it took so long.
Definitely. Yet you are technically a person of color. I don't really like saying that because ain't none of us a color. We are ethnicity. But anyway, you know, in our communities, we don't talk about that. I thought it was just Black people, but no, it's everybody in all communities of color. Like, it's taboo to talk about mental health, to say that you are even having a hard time. We are supposed to be so strong, especially the women in our community. So, and you're so young, like, who asked for help? Y'all even want to, you know, we don't even want to ask for help, you know? So that's so common. And that was my next question was, so like, you did all this on your own. You went to therapy at all yet?
Well, growing up, you know, as an Asian household, it's kind of like mental health is forbidden. You're seen as ungrateful, or, you know, you're just in a phase, or, you know, something like that. So it was hard to talk about it. No one believed me when I brought it up. When I first started my eating disorder, my family found out because they heard me, and you know, they shut it down. They're like, this is not going to happen. It didn't stop me from doing it, but it made me like become more aware of when I do it, how I do it, and it made me more sneaky. And I just kind of like battled in silence. And they were questioning, like, oh, well, she's just changing, she's going through a phase, or and no one knew what I was going through. And I didn't know how to ask for help, because when I was little, it was forsaken. Mental health was non-existent. But now I did get a little bit of help. My aunt is a psychologist, of all things. So she did help me through my freshman year of college, and did talk me through things. But I am a person who likes to do things on my own. I'm extremely independent. I do talk out my feelings. I realized that I couldn't do things on my own, that not everything has to be handled in silence. Which is when I met my former boyfriend, Lafayette, and him and I became super close. We like focused on mental health. We always talked about our issues. And that's when I was like 19. Okay. So for 2 years, I had someone I could confide in and like express how I was feeling. And it wasn't therapy, but it helped. So I still got a long way to go.
Yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And it always helps to have somebody, especially somebody so close, like a partner like that. And so while we're talking about it, can you talk about Lafayette and then how that led to Live Again Freely?
Yeah. So Lafayette and I had a very extremely close relationship that was focused on mental health. We talked about mental health a lot. We were extremely close. I would go over there every single day. He lived 30 minutes from me, but I would leave work. I would go see him. We were so me and my best friend, Zach, we were a trio, which is how I met Laf. I was on FaceTime with my best friend, and I see this guy pop out in the corner, and then he was like, oh, like, she's really cute, like, you know, asked Zach about me. And then we ended up hanging out the next day, and you know, one thing led to another, and we just kept hanging out, and we just really enjoyed each other's company. But Loft was very open about not being okay, and he would often ask for help. He was a college basketball player at Pacific University in Stockton, and there was just not resources put in place to help athletes. And there was a lot of times where he felt like he was only seen as a basketball player and not a human being, which is kind of the narrative behind Live Again Freely, is being seen as a human and not really what you're known for. Lof ended up being diagnosed with schizophrenia, which causes a lot of issues, and it needs to be caught early on so you can, you know, figure out how to go about it. But being Black, you don't get the same help as a white person. You don't get the same treatment, and you don't get the same resources as someone who is non-Black. And that was the biggest issue, is he was turned away because they don't know how to look for it for whatever reason, or that was their excuse. And like you said, like in the Black community, it's taboo. In a lot of communities of color, it's non-existent. You don't talk about mental health. And Luff ended up being suicidal, and it fell through. And because of that, I wanted to normalize mental health. I wanted to give people the opportunities that weren't given to Luff. Because I don't want to see other people go through the situations that his family or that I went through, being his former partner, because we still kept a very good relationship outside of our boyfriend girlfriend situation. That was still my best friend. I would still talk to him every single day. He would call me if he went through episodes, or if he was taking walks at 3 a.m, he would call me, and he was very honest, like, I'm not doing good, or I'm doing better, or, you know, I'm going through X, Y, and Z. I'm going to see my therapist. And I want to normalize that. I want to be able to be an open space for people to come and talk or get resources. So when I started Live Again Freely, it is in honor and in tribute to Lafayette, but it is also kind of a resource for other people, because I want people to be seen, and I don't want people to become their disorders. Because I think a lot of times when people are diagnosed, they become known as what they're dealing with, and I don't think that's okay.
It's not okay whatsoever. Was he still a student athlete when this happened?
There was it was kind of like an awkward time. He was still figuring out his school situation. He had just transferred, and then he regretted his transfer, so he was trying to find a new school that he wanted to go to. The details behind it, I'm not 100% aware of, so I can't, speak for him. But it was in the process of figuring it out. But yeah, he was still a student athlete.
I'm asking because I don't think I would have ever known about his story unless I met you. And that's really sad, because how many other student athletes are committing suicide and we don't know, and we don't talk about it. We just look at, like you said, they are their sport and that's it. But then when they're done with their sport, or like with him, he made a decision and was in a transition. And people were probably disappointed about that and upset about that, and weren't looking at him as a human and him making a decision for him, or maybe even a mistake. Sometimes we gotta fuck up, but that is still on him, instead of, looking at it as, oh, he left us and he did this. It's really sad that, I didn't see nothing from any of the schools, from ESPN, nobody. There's a couple other instances. I think a football player, they might both be football players. And I didn't know about it until I researched, some deep, thorough research about mental health and athletes. And that's to just be blunt about it, real fucked up. So hopefully through Live Again Freely, you can not only continue to make people aware of his story, but others as well.
Yeah, when I was because the first school I went to Washington State.
Okay.
And during that time, as I was leaving in 2018 is when Tyler Helinski, who was a football player, he committed suicide, and his went nationwide. And I think that was my first realization, because I know Loff and I talked about it, and just, you're only seen as your sport, you're only seen as this person, but you're not seen as a person. You're not seen as an individual with your own opinions and likes and dislikes and things like that. And so we tend to normalize people as entertainment, but, off the field or off the court or, out of the pool, they're humans. They go through life situations and they deal with things that people don't get to see. And a lot of, when I spoke at Lost Memorial, I had mentioned that, we tend to forget that people are people first. And when you are supposed to be the face of a program, a highly competitive program, faking becomes very normalized, and it becomes a lot harder to reach out because people see you as one thing and they don't see you as the other. So it makes it a lot harder to tell people that you're suffering.
Exactly. Can you talk about your process of grieving and recovery? It's still new. It's only 2021. And that's something I don't know, if you may ever get over, unfortunately. So how have you been allowing yourself to grieve and also recover?
Um, this one is a tough one because I feel like I've made progress, but at the same time, I feel like I'm not making progress at all.
Mhm.
Uh, I even had to look up there. I just took summer classes and finished my psychology minor, but my last class I took was kind of a lot on mental health, and we had to write papers of like kind of like what we were going through. And I wrote about like the 5 stages of death and like the 5 stages of grief, and because I didn't know where I was. And I had to look everything up. I had to research things because I felt like I went through the stages so fast. I started LiveAgainFreely back in November, like as an idea. Um, when I reached out to like my co-founders and the Dorseys about, can I like, are you okay with me honoring Loft in this light? It was so soon. It was only like 3 months.
Wow.
In December is when I like started to put paperwork in, and come May is when we started posting about mental health. I think my grieving and healing process comes from LiveAgainFreely, uh, because it helps me keep him alive.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's ironic because I try to avoid things that remind me of Lafayette. Like I try to avoid pictures or things that remind me of him because it makes me sad. I don't talk about it, but I have him tattooed on me. So, very, it contradicts itself, but LiveAgainFreely helps me keep his, his presence alive, and it helps me remember who he was, like how good of a person he was. And um it helps me realize like I'm here to help people. I definitely have moments where I can feel his presence, and that makes me feel good. That helps my healing, but other than that, it's taking things one step at a time. I will never get over the situation
Mhm.
because he was my best friend. First and foremost, I loved him and I adored him, and he took away so many bad things in life for me. So it'll definitely be a long healing process, but I'm learning each
Yeah,
thing just one step at a time.
yeah, for sure. I know it's tough, and you a strong girl. You got it though. You doing your
Yeah,
thing, and this is a beautiful way to, grieve and get through it. And I know that he's very happy, and very proud of you. So keep going. I got you. Whatever you need help with, I got you.
thank you.
Got you, of
And
course.
it definitely helps. I have a good relationship with his family.
Yeah,
Um,
awesome.
that helped my grieving process a lot. Having them as a support system, even though they just lost their son,
And
having them in that connection helps me. And then I think the biggest thing is talking about it, which some people, that's not for everyone, but for me and my best friend who was the trio,
mhm,
we talk about it, we get it out, we cry about it, we uh go over the good memories we had with him because he was probably the weirdest person I've ever known in my life. But we talk about those, and like that helps me process that it actually happened. But yeah, it's definitely a weird thing to go through.
yeah. Were you honestly ever mad at yourself, at his friends, his family, or even him for what happened, for not seeing it, for not recognizing when he was about to do it?
I don't think we ever saw it coming because schizophrenia is a really hard thing to understand. There's so much that's unknown in it, and
Sure.
um, I think the one thing I've taken away from the entire situation is just the fact that there's a common misconception that suicide is selfish and you're leaving people, but I think for me, being upset over them and their emotions and what they were going through, and to blame them for leaving is probably the selfish part. because he was in a lot of pain. There was a lot of things that he went through that no one could ever in a million years understand unless you're going through it. So I don't blame him, and I'm not mad. I will, I don't regret anything that I did because I know that I did the best that I could to help him. And I think that everyone involved in his situation will see things differently. And those feelings and those emotions are valid completely, because there are things that I don't know that happened, and there are other things that people don't know that happened. And I think everyone in his situation who was in support of trying to get him the help that he needed did their best. And I don't think I can really blame anyone. There is a part of me, though, that wishes he could have gotten help when he was asking for it rather than being turned away. And I think, you know, Live Again Freely is that resource of kind of fixing that institution of, you know, why are we pushing people away, like, and kind of getting to the bottom of, like, people are asking for help and you're not helping them, so how can we improve this so that people do get help? And just kind of learning signs earlier on is my biggest thing, because there's a lot of people who don't know how to look for those signs, especially when it's in a community that finds mental health to be taboo. So I'm not mad at anyone, but I just want to help people so that they don't go through the same situation.
For sure. I can't thank you enough for sharing all of that. Again, I know that's not easy either. And, you know, again, you're so strong. I know you're fighting back.
Thank you.
Wishing I could hug you, but you all the way over there. But
across the country.
Man, you feel me. But one day. But thank you. You know, I'm trying not to cry too. I'm a thug. Yeah, I'm like Jay-Z, gotta let the song cry. But no, I'm playing. But that's tough, and I can't even imagine. So thank you again. And to anybody listening, man, just pay attention. It's still, I don't feel like if someone is going to do it, because I've been in his position where I have tried and where I wanted to do it so many times. You know, when a person wants to do something, you can't stop them. But you can still be there and support them as much as possible. And even, like you said, catch things and get them the support. If you are white and you are an ally, it's very sad I even have to say this, but help us get the support that we need. Be advocates for us and speak for us. Because people don't listen to us, and I want to do a part 2 with you because you're Asian. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You weren't white. I knew it was something though. And you know, colorism, that's a huge thing. And Lafayette was dark skinned and I'm dark skinned. So I noticed, you know, how I'm treated versus people who are light skinned in our community. And I know that it's like that in Asian community, Hispanic, all that. So I would definitely like to talk about that too, because I think that is another reason why certain people don't get help is because of the tone of their skin. Like we already talking about color, now we got to talk about tones. Like it's very, very sad and sick, but that's a part 2.
Yeah, no, I got you, because so my dad's side's Black and Asian, so we can talk about colorism all day long.
Oh, interesting. What's your mom?
She's white. Yeah.
We got a lot to talk about, Skylar. Wow.
Yeah, no, I can. Believe me. No, I can bring my cousins on too. We could talk about colorism.
Yeah, we'll have a group conversation. That's dope. Yeah, let's do that. If I can all be in the same room, or if we all could be in the same room, that'd be really dope. Man.
No, they would love to talk about it because there's so much.
Man, I can't even imagine. Like me being Black, it's enough. But like when I learned that it was going on with everybody, and then all the stuff I'm learning about just our history and culture in general, like really we all related. Your mom white, so I ain't gonna really say it. But yeah, like, you know, we still related though, for real. Like anybody who is of color, like that's my brother, my sister, whatever. Like I really feel like that. I don't care where you're from, like we are all the same. But again, that's part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Definitely get the cousins on here.
We got time to talk about it.
That's crazy, man. So what's next for Skylar? What's next for you?
Well, I am halfway through my master's program, so I have about a year left, and then I will have my master's degree in political science.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to teach political science, intro to politics. And, I definitely want to see my organization take off. So, slowly but surely, got to take things one step at a time. And I want to, but as far as next steps, hopefully teaching, and eventually running for, a government position, in California, and seeing my organization take off. Those are my focuses.
Lit. Listen, I never really been into politics and all that, but I want to own a home in California. So I guess that technically make me a resident. So I'm gonna vote for you, whatever you run for, as long as I'm in the same, area. I don't know, like I said, I don't know how to work. If you're the governor or something, that's like all of California, right?
Yeah, that's all of California.
Yeah, so I got you. Run for governor, I got you.
Oh, that's eventually. That's a few years down the road.
I say I might be the president by then, but you can still be. I'm gonna show you the governor. Look, if I'm president, they don't want me to be the president, Skylar. Oh man, America gonna be lit. Let me tell you. What? We're gonna have siesta, just like Spain. Is gonna be dope. A lot of other stuff. Weed legal everywhere. Okay. But anyway, mental health, that's the most important thing. Because I was even thinking about going back to school, either to study politics or get a JD, but specifically in administrative policy, so that I can learn how to change laws and shit. So specifically with the NCAA, because I had a very similar experience, but I went to therapy, just wasn't the right therapist. And then after that, it was like nobody gave a shit because they felt like I didn't care. It was just, maybe you need to find me another therapist, but or something, a life coach, anything. Maybe I just needed to talk to, one of the coaches and really have somebody I felt like they understood. But I don't really fuck with school and I don't want to pay for it. So I don't think I'm gonna do it. So I don't know how else I can, maybe I just do it through you. I'll tell you what we need.
Yeah, no, I was looking at I'm looking at getting a master's of law. And then I also want a PhD in economics, but the way my bank account is set up.
You feel me? Man, that's what I was saying. Because Ohio State, they got a dual program where I can get the JD and get a PhD in psychology. And I was like, well, shit, I'm 28, I'll be done. I'm like 33, 34. That's a bit, that's cool. But I was like, well, shit, how am I pay for it? I gotta work in Ohio. I don't want to be in Ohio another day if I don't have to be. So what am I gonna do? So I just said, fuck it. I'm gonna let God take care of it. We'll figure this out. Maybe I'm not meant to, go to school. It's like we got people like you. And I'm just a voice out here for the people. And
we'll see how far I get, because
listen, you doing good. If you have made it this far, come on now.
We'll see. I mean, I think I'll end up going for, a PhD, because I really want that doctor title. I
feel that.
I really just call it doctor. We'll see what I can handle financially, because it might be some years.
Hey, I'm banking on getting an honorary doctorate from somebody. I got some work to do too. It's all right. Hey, you got any advice or some last words you want to say to the people?
Only advice. I am not good with words, but I know how stressful life can be, especially when you're in this awkward 20-year-old body, and life is coming at you fast. You got bills to pay, you got mental health to worry about, you don't know what's next, you love life, school.
Girl, you just getting started.
Yeah, no, it's a weird balance. Your friends are having kids, your friends are getting married, some are dying. It's a weird, only advice is taking things one step at a time. It's so simple, but it has helped me through a lot, because I will pack things on and I'm just I get overwhelmed, and I have to remind myself to take one thing at a time, and I just write it out.
Yeah, I feel that. Y'all heard it from Skylar, y'all. Skylar said it. That's bomb right there.
Skylar said it. It's correct.
Hey, look, everything. You already said that what did you say? You a narcissist? Yeah. I'm scared of you, bro. You might have to
I
revisit
guess
that.
I'm not classified as a narcissist because I care about other people, but just very conceited.
Yeah. Okay, speak your truth. That's hey, wow. Part two.
Don't evaluate me.
You feel me? You know, you funny.